Hey, what's going on? It is July 30th, 2026. I'm in downtown San Diego. I'm at Petco Park. I'm about to eat some brisket or tri-tip nachos. It's like the best thing at Petco Park. If you ever come here and you want to eat some food, get the tri-tip nachos at the Seaside Market. Incredible stuff. What are we doing today? Well, it is a baseball game. I could be watching the game. We're not going to do that right away, though. Got a couple beers already. Feeling good. Season ticket holder perk. You get $5 beers before the first pitch. Had a couple of those. So you know it's a good day. But anyway, what are we doing? Instead of watching the game or showing you the game, we're going to talk about God Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert. I finished it. I'm going to tell you all about it. But I'm going to eat these nachos first because I am like starving. So let's take a quick break, nacho break, and then we'll come back and talk about Frank Herbert. Okay, so let's talk about God Emperor of Dune. I finished this a few days ago. And hold on, I got sauce on my arm. I'm gonna wipe the sauce off. We're back. I wiped the sauce off. We're back. All right. So the Dune novels written by Frank Herbert. He wrote 6 altogether. There's a ton of Dune books. There's like 20 Dune books. Okay, only 6 of them were written by Frank Herbert. The other 14 or so were written by his son, Brian Herbert, and another guy named Kevin J. Anderson, who apparently has written some of the worst Star Wars novels. And so the Brian Herbert, Kevin J. Anderson books are considered to be inferior. In fact, I asked a group of people. For those of you who don't know, I write for a website called The Avocado. Every Tuesday, new game releases. Go check it out. But every day that website has like an open thread where you just talk about whatever. And I asked people, it's like, hey, are the non-Frank Herbert Dune books any good? Should I look into them after I finish the 6 Frank Herberts? And the resounding consensus was, do not bother. They are cash grab pieces of trite. So just ignore. I burped. I'm sorry. I had 2 beers. So anyway, enough about the future. Let's talk about the present, which is God Emperor of Dune. Podcast is about to start. I don't care. This is the 4th book in the Chronicles. They call them the Dune Chronicles, the 6 books that Frank Herbert wrote. He wrote 3. There's an initial trilogy: Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune. God Emperor of Dune was supposed to be a bridge between a second set of trilogy, second trilogy. Unfortunately, Frank Herbert only got to write 2 more books, which were Heretics of Dune and Chapter House Dune, or Dune Chapter House, something like that. So God Emperor is like the middle part of what were supposed to be 7 books. As such, it feels, if you've ever watched a TV show, and especially a serialized TV show, they have what are called bridge episodes that bridge like the season to the finale. It kind of sets everything up for the finale, and that's what God Emperor of Dune is doing. It's setting up this next trilogy of novels. Now, with God Emperor, what I am understanding, this is where most people drop off of Dune. They drop off because, I think, 3 main reasons. The number 1 reason, this book is very boring. There's not a lot of action in this book. It opens with a big action piece, and it ends with a big action piece. And everything in between is just talking. And it's really, really, really boring. But it's also really, really, really interesting. It gives a lot of really interesting thoughts about like philosophy, about how the dangers of mixing religion and government. So to getting ahead of myself a little bit, the plot of God Emperor of Dune This book takes place 3,500 years after Children of Dune. Now I'm going to spoil some things in these novels, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I guess turn this video off and read the books and then come back and watch this. But if you don't care, if you just want to hear my thoughts, I'll spoil it. I'm not going to go into like details, but I'm going to give you like general ideas of like, this is what happens. So near the end of Children of Dune is about Paul Atreides and Shawnee's two children, Leto II and Ganima. Leto II goes on this quest into the desert, and while he's out there, he gets caught by some Fremen, and he ends up escaping by letting these sand trout, which are kind of like, I think they're baby sandworms. They like create this like goo suit around him that gives him superpowers, basically. And so the end of Children of Dune is Leto II jumping around like the Incredible Hulk and being basically a indestructible superhuman. Cut to God Emperor of Dune. The known galaxy universe has been living under his tyrannical rule, his dictatorship, fascist rule. He's not an evil person necessarily, but he rules with an iron fist. Whatever he says goes. And they've lived under his basically fascist rule for 3,500 years. And he is so he's let the sand trout cover his body in goo so often that he is now becoming a sandworm. And this is the second part where I think people drop off, because they talk about how God Emperor of Dune, the books get weird. And they get weird, I think, because Leto II is no longer a human. He is a sandworm with a human face. Think Jabba the Hutt, but instead of like Jabba the Hutt's face being part of his body like in a natural way, imagine if Jabba the Hutt was Jabba, but in the middle of his face, his head was a circle where a human face came out of. And that's what Leto II is now. Very weird. In my head, to make it less weird as I was reading it, I just thought of him as kind of like having a sandworm body, and like his upper torso with arms and head were like sticking out of the mouth of a sandworm. And that's kind of how I like got around the weirdness of it being just a face. Because if they ever make this into a movie, if they ever adapt this, just having a worm with a human's face on it is gonna like ruin the whole thing. So I imagine that they will do some kind of a thing where it's a torso coming out of the worm's mouth. Or it's like Cobra Commander in the G.I. Joe movie, where the top half is a human torso and the bottom half is a worm snake thing. Anyway, so the book opens with one of Paul Atreides' descendants, which is also one of Leto's descendants. I forget her name. I can look it up, and I'm not going to. It's on screen right now. Here it is. That's her name. She and her friends have broken into Leto's palace and stolen his journals that basically tell his story over the last 3,500 years. And so you think the book's going to be about her, but like every Dune book before, as soon as you think somebody's the main character, they disappear for like 150, 200 pages, and the book becomes about somebody completely different. So that's kind of what happens here. You start off with her, then you move on to Leto II, and he's kind of the main character. He's in most of the book. You follow him, but also who else you follow is you follow Duncan Idaho. Now you're saying, hey, Duncan Idaho, he died in the first book. How is he back? Well, in Dune Messiah and moving forward, he comes back as a clone. There are Duncan Idaho clones created by the Ixians. That's a race of aliens. If you've read Dune, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never read Dune, you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the Ixians created clones. And they've been creating clones of Duncan for Leto II for 3,500 years. Basically what happens is when these Duncan Idaho clones come out, they eventually want to know, they kind of go crazy, and they end up having to get killed. And so a new clone's made until it goes crazy and then it gets killed. So on top of Leto II being the kind of the main character of this book, the new Duncan Idaho clone is also the kind of the second main character of the book. And there's a lot of stuff about him coming to terms with basically being a man out of time, because he's got the feelings and thoughts of a man from 3,500 years in the past, suddenly having to live in this weird future where he doesn't understand anything, and having to come to terms with Leto II being a god, essentially. An immortal god. This is the third part where I think people lose it, because there are probably about 3 or 4 Idaho clones in the beginning of this book who all get killed by Leto for going crazy or questioning things, and now you're stuck with this other Leto clone, and then later on a whole bunch of Leto clones like attack, or not Leto, a bunch of Duncan Idaho clones attack Leto and Duncan and the fish talkers. That's like Leto's private army of like women in sexy spandex suits. I told you this book is like all over the place. If this sounds at all remotely interesting to you, you should read it. Especially if you've read Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune, you need to continue the story. God Emperor continues it. It's still Frank Herbert's vision. It's still his ideas about religion and government and self-will. Something happened. Good catch, I guess. All right. Anyway. Napkins are flying away. You gotta save the napkins. Can't litter. All right, let's get those back in there. Come on, get in there. All right, we're back to the book. So, I kind of went over the base, kind of the beginning of the book. I won't go into like everything that happens, but essentially the story is the girl who is in the beginning of the book. It's kind of her goal to overthrow Leto II and not become leader, but she wants the galaxy to no longer be under Leto's rule. It's been 3,500 years. It's time for some new people to be in charge. But is that a good idea? Because Leto's kind of kept the peace for 3,500 years. So he doesn't necessarily want to just give up power willingly. And again, who wouldn't? Once you have power, why would you give it up? So anyway, I'll cover the camera here. That's really kind of what the catalyst of this book is. There's some other stuff here. There's like a love story between Leto and this Ixian woman who has been basically genetically created to like be his love interest. It's weird. There's a lot of stuff. He can't like have sex because he has no genitals anymore. He's a worm. So like the woman and Duncan kind of fall in love, and there's some jealousy there. There's this love triangle thing, but there's this other woman, the woman who you follow in the beginning of the book. Leto wants her to like mate with Duncan. There's a lot of stuff about like mating and sex, and it's very weird. I don't know, Frank Herbert had a weird hang up about like using breeding to like create like superior species and whatever. Weird stuff. Again, people don't like God Emperor of Dune, and I think it's because it introduces all these really weird concepts and is at the same time very boring. It's just a lot of talking. I don't know what else to say. That's it. That's it. What? Okay. Just to wrap things up. Did I like this book? Yes, I liked it a lot. In fact, it's not my favorite in the series. It's like the 4th best book, but it brings up a lot of really, really interesting ideas, especially if you are like a thinker. If you want your books to make you think, God Emperor of Dune is going to make you think a lot. Hardly any action, so if you're looking for that, don't come to God Emperor of Dune. But if you love this world, if you love everything that Frank Herbert built in the previous 3 novels, come to God Emperor. But if you get through this, if you get into this and you hate it and you're bored with it, just stop. Just stop, because it's not going to get any better. Now I'm going to read the next book, which is Heretics of Dune, which I think takes place like another 1,500 years in the future. So none of these characters are going to be back, as far as I know. There could be more Duncan clones. I don't know. We're going to find out. But I won't find out for a while, because I have 3 Stephen King books to read before I even get to the next Dune book. Okay, I've been talking for almost 15 minutes. I'm gonna break this video up and then come back. Hey, Fernando Tatis Jr. got a leadoff single. That's great. I'm not going to stick around for the rest of this game. In fact, I'm probably going to leave as soon as I'm done with this video, because I'm kind of over baseball. It's been a long season, and the Padres are not getting any better, and I kind of just want to go home. Anyway, here is my final... So, okay, I'm on Goodreads. If you're familiar with Goodreads, it's an app where you rate books and you tell your friends what you're reading, what you want to read, etc. I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads. Now, is that fair? Yeah, I think so. Could I have given it 4? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe if there was a little bit more action, and I know that's kind of coming across as like a normie kind of a thing. Like, it should have had more action. But it should have had more action. It was just really boring. The concepts and ideas, again, very interesting. The whole thing about government and religion. We're in America. We are heading towards a future where government and religion could be merging. No. So that was clearly this was written in 1981, released in 1981. Ronald Reagan was 1 year into his presidency at that point. The moral majority Christian movement of the 1970s was getting really strong, and it was getting deep into politics. So I can see why Frank Herbert would have written God Emperor of Dune because of this. I think we have enough rationally thinking people in our country to not let religion overtake our government, but you never know, man. You never know, especially if there's crazy wars and things like that, where it's America versus some other religion. Think Middle Eastern. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, it had interesting ideas, interesting concepts, but I don't think that was enough to elevate the book to a 4-star. This is a solid 3-star book. I haven't done a tier ranking on the Frank Herbert Dune book, so let me just do that quickly right now. The first Dune, S tier, excellent book, one of the greatest science fiction novels of all time. Read Dune. If you've never read Dune, read that. You never have to read any of the other ones. All you need is Dune. It's incredible. Dune Messiah, that's an A tier. Great follow-up. Again, this is kind of the beginning of the more talky Dune books. There's action in Dune Messiah, but it's kind of sparse. It is a lot of talking. Children of Dune, A tier. Also giving it an A. I didn't quite love the beginning. It was a little boring in the beginning, but then once Leto II was wandering the desert and became a god, then it got real cool and real interesting. A tier. God Emperor of Dune, where does this stand on the tier list? This is a C. It's not that good. But it's not bad, but it's not that good. Way too boring, and that's its downfall. It's just way too boring. And just, there's some things that happen in it. I won't go into it too much because I don't want to spoil anything necessarily, but there's things that happen in it that I just don't, I think are kind of icky. There's icky things in the previous novels, but this one got real icky. Anyway, I guess that's it. I'm gonna head out of here. I think I'm just gonna leave. Honestly, I came here. I paid for parking just to talk about Dune. Maybe I'll grab something else to eat. Maybe not. I don't know. But this is the end of this video. So thank you for watching. I do a daily vlog where I talk about something every single day. I go to events around San Diego. Sometimes I review books. Sometimes I talk about DVDs I own. Sometimes I show off video games I own. In fact, I was doing an Xbox 360 collection video. I haven't done that in a few days, so maybe I should bring that back. I need to do the next set of 10 games in that, because I think I left off in the letter M. So we'll get back to that at some point. If you're waiting for those, I'm sorry. We'll get back to them, I promise. Anyway, come back tomorrow. I'm going to have a new video, and a new video every single day after that, because this is a daily vlog. So thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.